So here's what I've gathered from the Dollar Tree for my bulletin board setup. I've got wrapping paper, 3 packs of die cut letters, 1 pack of die cut, it's a 12-piece set of dry erase pieces, 6 white poster boards, and 1 pack of this border. Now I want to do my bulletin setup a little bit different. I almost steered away from the traditional border completely, but I'm going to use it to cover up the edges of the wrapping paper just on the sides, and we'll see how that goes. I think the most tedious part of this setup is going to be sorting all the die cut letters, but we'll see if this $9 worth of supplies gets us pretty much the base of my bulletin board setup done. Okay, so I've cut out 2 packs. There's one right here that's still unopened, and it seems sufficient, but I'll have the second one if there's any remaining letters as I lay these out that I still need. I'll be able to look in that pack for them. As I went, I set the numbers ones aside because I teach English and who needs numbers? So anyway, so I gave those to my little girl while she was helping me out. And that way, if she was trying to poke them out and any of them tore, it's no great loss, but at least she got to get involved and be a part of it. And I'm going to go ahead and set up the poster boards themselves. This way, I'll be able to take them as is and set them up on the bulletin board in my classroom. Okay, so I've glued the letters on for the broad categories. These posters are going to go up in my bulletin board. I've got a nice long bulletin board. It's about 16 feet long, and I'm going to use the wrapping paper, this one, as the background. So instead of covering the whole board with the wrapping paper, I'm going to run the wrapping paper straight across the center, and then these posters will go over that, kind of overlay, so you're not going to see a ton of that print, you're just going to see a little bit of it in the background. It's not going to be very powerful, it's going to be pretty minimal in the design, and possibly I'll use the traditional border just on the edges. Okay, so that'll go on the edges of the board just to cover up the wrapping paper. I don't want to try to cover the whole board because oftentimes when you do that there's a lot of rippling and it just gets kind of crazy. So I'm going to do it very simple. These are the major categories of the standards. I'm using the Common Core as a guide, but really any state standards for an ELA classroom hits these main categories. Okay, you always have your writing. You might be persuasive writing or narrative writing, informative writing, research papers, word study. You know, we might be looking at vocabulary words in a certain story, or we might be looking at a certain way to study vocabulary, like looking at context clues, or, you know, seeing the different ways that a word could be used. The same word, you know, there's a very broad category of word study. Okay, same thing with grammar. Speech. I went with speech instead of The standards will call the category speaking and listening skills or communication, etc. And I was running out of letters even with my 3 packs. Here's some of the leftover letters, and there's certain letters like the letter G, there's not a whole lot of that letter, and I used them up. So I went with speech for that one, and themes. What themes are the stories covering at that point in time? And so my goal for this is I'm going to have a blank slate on these categories, and then underneath I can post small posters that describe the theme we're working on, or I can print paper from my printer just with a general information of what we're covering at that point in time. And so this is going to be a changeable bulletin board. People think, oh, we're just reading and writing, repeat. But this kind of shows visually all the things that we are covering. Some places that you teach, you have to have all the stuff on the board at all times. And I think this is one way to make it easier on yourself for the rest of the school year, that you can just pin stuff in that you print straight from your printer, but you have these big bold letters that show very clearly, and I mean they can walk in and spot it right away, and honestly it helps me too. So I hope it helps you out a lot, and in the next segment of the video we're going to be setting it up in my classroom, so stay tuned.
Well, as the saying goes, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Here I am, trying again and again. I didn't have as much paper in that roll as I thought I did, so I pieced together scraps that were left behind in the classroom to see if maybe if I put the posters right over it, it would work out just fine. I wasn't crazy about it, thought that the colors kind of clashed. I mean, up close they thought it could work. I didn't think it did. So I ended up taking that center piece down and trying again, maybe if it was just a color pop. Well, it was okay, better, but not great. So I decided do away with the background paper and focus on the content. I have Printables from the Littlest Teacher on TPT, and I just love it. It's very clean and easy to read, and that's what I was going for. I hope you enjoyed this tip and will follow my channel in the future. Thanks so much.